Harry's wife. We are cast as villains. Victoria Ward writes in the Telegraph, Duke and Duchess of Sussex believe they have been cast as villains in a toxic royal pantomime. Absolving themselves of any blame, Harry suggests he wants to reconcile, but continues attacks on his brother and father. Well, the Telegraph certainly doesn't see the behaviour of Harry and his wife as appropriate or acceptable, noting the hypocrisy of the position. Harry, and Harry's wife, believing that they've been cast as villains, is demonstrative of, first of all, the victim mentality that she has by virtue of being a narcissist and that has been cultivated in him as a consequence of having the narcissistic trait of resentment as part of his empathic and narcissistic makeup, but also how that has been fostered as part of the control that his wife has asserted over him. When it comes to the intimate partner primary source, as you know, this individual is the most important person to the narcissist, hence the title. Fuel is extremely potent from this individual. This individual represents a one-stop shop for most of the narcissist's needs in terms of being the easiest person to control, who provides the most fuel, the most character traits and residual benefits. In the same way that when you do your shopping, you prefer to do it mainly in one place and go to one particular supermarket. Of course, there'll be other specialist shops that you might visit, but invariably, because of the convenience involved, you go to one particular place to purchase your food, etc., and possibly more besides, all under one roof. The narcissist is similar. The narcissism likes economy of effort, and therefore being able to get most of the fuel needs met from one person who is easy to control, who also provides lots of character traits and residual benefits, is hugely important. Of course, the reliance that the narcissist has upon one particular individual varies depending upon the type of narcissist. So lesser narcissists, being lazier, but generally speaking, have a greater reliance upon the intimate partner primary source compared to mid-range narcissists, who still have a very considerable reliance upon them, compared to the greater and the ultra, who have a lower reliance. Indeed, the greater and the ultra will rely upon lots of different sources because of the ability and reach being far more extensive. If you'd like to understand more about the constitution of the fuel matrix vis-a-vis the different subschools of narcissists, just go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain Pipelines. It's a fascinating read, and I'd also recommend to you Understanding Changes to the Narcissist Fuel Matrix, so you can understand what happens when a narcissist loses somebody from the fuel matrix and the impact that happens. Accordingly, Harry is very important to Harry's wife in terms of being easy to control, pumping out lots of fuel, and being festooned with character traits and residual benefits. Part of making me easy to control is to infect him with this victim mentality of, it's me and you against the world, H. It's me and you against your family. They don't understand us. Nobody gets us. Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right, my little pumpkin. He, as I've explained before, has been dragged into their awful shared fantasy, which makes him so much easier to control and means that he basically takes on all the propaganda that is pumped out by Harry's wife. He lives it, he breathes it, he believes it. Part of the reason why he does so is that he fosters some of those views already. Resentment towards his family for not protecting his mother. Resentment at being the spare. Resentment at the fact of not feeling so special because he's a bit of a dunderhead. Envy with regard to his brother's status and the fact that he has the fragrant Catherine as his wife. Those things hitherto weren't problematic. They were there, but there was nobody giving them a massage, tickling them. There was nobody spraying manure around them, trying to make them grow. But then along came a spider, and she started to manure those seeds of discontent and to water them with her particular brand of poison. So they started to grow in the mind, in the marshmallow mind of the Prince of Pink Pancakes. And as a consequence of her being seen as the saviour, the way that she keeps telling him the way that he has to think, and the fact that he can't see because of his own emotional thinking, Her ideas become his ideas. Her outlook becomes his outlook. I've seen this many times. Indeed, I've utilised such methods for the purposes of control of people myself. Make them an extension of us. Have them breathe the same air, believe the same propaganda. Bolt them on, our hand wedged up their backside, and make them dance for us. And that is what has happened with Harry. The article continues. The Duke of Sussex has made clear that he thinks he and his wife have been cast as the villains in the increasingly toxic modern-day royal family fairy tale. Paranoia, folie à deux, victim mentality. Brief clips released on Monday of 2 interviews the Duke has conducted to promote his memoir suggested that he doesn't shoulder any blame for the ongoing rift with his father and brother. Blame shifting. Instead, he appears to believe that the ball is in his family's court, suggesting that he's ready and willing to reconcile if only they are too. Sense of entitlement, high-handedness, grandiosity. But as he launches a publicity blitz to promote his explosive book called Spare, the Duke appears determined to continue the attacks on his family, hypocrisy, risking damaging his relationships with them beyond repair. Prince Harry spoke to Tom Bradby, the ITV News at 10 Anchor, that's Anchor, for a 90-minute special called Harry, the Interview, to be broadcast on Sunday evening. In the interview, the Duke said, "They feel as though it's better to keep us somehow as the villains." This, of course, is manna from heaven for Harry's wife. By ensuring that he thinks it's them against the world, for him to say that we're cast as villains fits in with that level of control that she has over him. Whilst it's unclear to whom he's specifically referring, which is always the case with the Sussexes, he also points the finger at his family for their role in the demise of their relationship. They've shown absolutely no willingness to reconcile, he said. I'd like to get my father back. I'd like to have my brother back. The brothers' relationship, already hanging in the balance, will come under renewed strain, with reports suggesting that the memoir will be particularly tough on William. Well, it might be, but Big Willie Styley will shrug it off. The television interviews will act as a preview, whetting the palate for the detailed and potentially far more damaging allegations to come. They were considered necessary to allow the Duke to set out his stall ahead of the book's release, to describe his intent and the process behind it, i.e. to bore the arse off everybody with the regurgitation of the things we've heard already before. However, for the royals, they will only prolong the pain. Further trailers were released this week to maximise publicity. They represent the 3rd time that the Duke and or the Duchess has given interviews criticising the royal family, hypocrisy, lack of emotional empathy, provocation that have been widely trailed in advance. Their Oprah Winfrey interview and their recent Netflix series dominated headlines for days. It's not the first time the Sussexes have used Bradby to air their grievances. In an October 2019 interview in South Africa, the Duchess of Overseas said, "Not many people had asked if she was okay," when asked how she was feeling by Bradby. The Duke told him that he and the then Duke of Cambridge were on different paths. The journalist has known both Harry and William since the brothers were teenagers and will be considered a safe pair of hands. The trio's friendship blossomed when Bradby was appointed ITN's royal correspondent in 2001, a job he gave up in 2005 to become the broadcaster's political editor. His closeness to the Prince of Wales became public knowledge during the phone hacking scandal when stories about how he had lent the royal some recording equipment were published. However, he is said to have been cut off by the heir to the throne after nailing his colour to the Sussexes' mast when the brothers fell out, response of the normal to not take any shit. It used to be quite a straightforward thing, right? Because they weren't arguing and life was simple, he told The Times in May 2021, when he was discussing his relationship with the brothers. And then it's just slowly descended into something that was difficult, personally and publicly, really, over the past year and a half. In January 2020, Bradby wrote a piece for the Sunday Times describing the modern House of Windsor as poisonous and frankly Machiavellian. The Duke has also spoken to veteran American broadcaster Anderson Cooper for his CBS News programme 60 Minutes, to be broadcast just 3 hours after the ITV programme on Sunday evening. Mr. Cooper, a member of the Vanderbilt dynasty, and shares the Duke's passion for promoting mental health. His podcast about loss and grief, called All There Is, was prompted by the death of his mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, his father Wyatt Cooper, and his brother Carter, who killed himself in 1988, aged 23. There's then more about the trailer with CBS, which I've covered elsewhere. Mr. Cooper's great-aunt Thelma Thurness, his grandmother's sister, had an affair with Edward VIII, Harry's great-great-uncle, when he was Prince of Wales, but was replaced in his affections by Wallace Simpson. The interview appears to have been filmed at Churchill Cottage at the San Istro branch in Santa Barbara, California, an exclusive hotel not far from the Sussex's Monty Shit Show home. The resort, which boasts 38 vine-covered cottages, was also used by the Duchess of Sussex for a Variety magazine interview and photo shoot last year. Seems like the Sussexes have got a year past at the place. Accordingly, we see once again the victim mentality of the gruesome twosome and how that has been generated as a consequence of how the pair of them continue to fail to shut up about how they are the victims. A quick dip below the line to see if people are buying it. John Watterson, I would argue Harry's doing a great job of building up the image of royalty by completely debasing himself. He can get a ghostwriter to write some Pulp Fiction, but he's going to run out of money before long, and nobody will pay for him to talk about himself for 90 minutes on primetime television. You can take the idiot out of the family, but you can't take the family out of the idiot. Frank Lee sceptical. Cast as villains, so we can add unwillingness to take responsibility for their actions to their list of flaws. Indeed. This is a blatant attempt to portray themselves as victims. Disgusting behaviour from a pair of appalling creatures. Sharon Corden, to be fair, he does have the look of a man who can't earn money as fast as his wife can spend it. That's the financial haphazard nature of a narcissist. Not all, but some. S. White, warning, don't expect these glove puppet journalists to ask any serious questions of this individual on issues like hypocrisy, greedy self-indulgence and run away and hide smearing. Courtiers are solely there to abase themselves, after all. Mario Andretti, you're portrayed as villainous because, well, you are. Sorry, Harry, it's blindingly obvious from where I'm standing. If you can't see that, you're even more asinine than I assumed. Hayley Thorpe, who does he think he's kidding? It's extremely obvious he doesn't really want his father and brother back. He only wants them to pull them down and destroy them. If he wanted them back, he wouldn't keep publicly attacking them. John Menzies. When will the UK press, the BBC and now ITV realise that their continued reporting on these two idiots, one of whom is a self-seeking narcissist, is going to reduce their following, not increase it? Michael Loom, they are the villains, of that there is no doubt. Tom Mansell, these pair of imbeciles have just thrown the royal family into the garage of London buses and they talk of reconciliation. I think they need to rebook their therapies for the next 12 months. Independent opinion. Pantomime villains. It's a shame no one realised until too late that Harry's wife is a real villain. Every time she turned up at a royal do, the crowd could have warned Harry, she's behind you. Edward Eames, please, for the sake of dignity, cancel their invitation to the coronation. Catherine Fitchett, getting no overt reaction from the royal family and no doubt interpreting the fact that they were omitted from His Majesty's Christmas message as a deliberate slight, the traitors have become incensed and so are escalating their all-out assault on their family. That's correct, Catherine. This is because Harry's wife is there stamping her cloven hooves, wanting a response, demanding a response, and because she's not getting it, she continues to cry out, smearing left, right and centre. Kay Allen, whatever will happen when their kids realise their parents' scheming, more Hollywood celebrity, mentally damaged adolescents? John Almond sums it up in one word: narcissists. Anne Woodrow, they have now turned down many invitations from the royal family the last few years. Surely a chance to reconcile? I suspect they want a grovelling high publicity apology. It is they who should apologise. Please ignore them, royal family. Clive Foskett, Harry could get some advice from Uncle Andrew. Andrew could tell him how TV interviews lying in pizzas and Woking don't always endear you to the British public in the way you thought they would, let alone getting £12 million to cover your tracks. Time for King Charles to give some tough love on Harry, because the longer this nonsense goes on, the more the royal family is undermined, and the more that happens, the more the British public will lose patience and become disenchanted with all of them. W. Sewell, shh, stay silent, royal family, and they'll go away. M.K. Davies, I have no trust in Harry or Harry's wife. Harry wants to reconcile if only his father and brother do so. Buckingham Palace and the media will open a dialogue with him. In the past, Harry and Harry's wife have recorded conversations with them to leak to their ghostwriters. Why would they ever trust them? Derek Jackson. Oh dear, Harry, you married an actress and with no one of substance to hold your hand, turned your existence into Netflix make-believe. No sympathy this side of the pond as you continue to demean yourself in the UK even further. Emma Morley. At last, they're getting the message that they're just a teeny-weeny bit unpopular. Kay Allen. Harry's wife and Harry have no wish to reunite. The royal family, on the other hand, are their meal ticket. Harry's wife and Harry have no wish to reunite with the Markles, as they are of no value. The royal family are, on the other hand, and they're the meal ticket, and they need refuelling. Simon Collett Jones. They've cast themselves as the villains and used manure as the building material. On it goes. Time and time again, people seeing them to be the unpleasant, lying individuals that they are. Nobody's buying it. And, as I've explained previously, they are losing. And for all their bleating about being cast as villains, the response from everybody else, that's because you are. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.